Dude, what the fuck happened, dude?
I guess we needed to drop Shea and Giddy for a win.
What? Yo, as much as I want to say this stuff wasn't even a little bit predictable, it wasn't. But here's the amazing thing, right? We had seen some signs that the ball moved better, right, when Shea wasn't out there. That doesn't mean anything against Shea, right? But a lot of times when you see someone who's second in NBA in unassisted buckets, is what I heard Brevin Knight say, I think, at the... Like, well, okay, so now what's going to happen? All of a sudden we get some side-to-side ball movement. Okay, then, okay, what are we projecting? Jay Will's going to go out there and have a big game. Nope. 1 point. Okay.
J-Dub.
How the hell did we win, bro? Yeah, that's what I'm sorry. Jay Will outplayed J-Dub. Never saw that one coming. Well, how about a game by Jay Will, dude?
I wrote you last night, just before the game started. I said J-Dub's got to have a big game to win. For us to win. I was so wrong on that, man. He had a good game. I'm not talking any shit about his game, but I was projecting that he would have 25, 30 points if we were going to win here. And instead, Coach D makes a phenomenal call and starts Isaiah Joe at that starting shooting guard position. And I loved it, man.
Came out firing, bro.
Hustling. He was out there getting steals. He's out there getting rebounds. He's out there getting clean shots.
He tried to take a big charge.
The way we were running our offense,
and they didn't call it, but it was influential because it gets in people's heads. But you're right, dude. And go back to the offense.
Yeah, the way we were moving the ball, the way we were driving to the hole and getting our foot in the lane and then dishing the ball out, right? That's exactly what we've been trying to do all season long, but it all came together here. And yeah, it has a lot to do with that. We shot 19 for 45 from three-point range, and that's 42%. A lot of it had to do that, but it was the clean looks that we were getting. This was not a chump team. The Memphis Grizzlies is the best team in the month of December and arguably one of the best teams, if not a top 2 team in the NBA right now. And I look at the way that they're playing and their defense, and we scored 115 points on them without Shea and Josh Giddey, our 2 leading scorers. And it was because of what Coach D called out and what Coach D had us running this offense. And I get so sick and tired of when I see it out there when somebody says something negative about Coach D because, he's learning like these guys are learning. And what I saw from him last night is recognizing we weren't going to have Josh and Shea. He says, that's cool, guys. Let's go ahead and move the ball. Let's keep on driving to the hole hard. We didn't have Baisley. That's another a big position person that we were missing. And it was okay. I mean, look at the minutes across the board. Our bench was truly phenomenal. I mean, everybody scored that was played a game, played a minute, period. I mean, we got 2 from Mike Muscala, 1 from J-Dub, and then everybody else scored 6 or more.
Right. Yeah,
and it's so beautiful, man.
Yo, tell me, I know Dort had a big offensive game, right? But did you notice what I noticed, which was his biggest plays were him being a playmaker?
Yeah.
He put up 20 plus, I think, 22 points? But
24, yeah.
24? But, his biggest plays were when he broke down the defense and he saw cutting Isaiah Joe or Aaron Wiggins or, you name it.
I want to throw this out here. So we saw Ja Morant got ejected from the game last night, guys. If you haven't seen it, it's pretty funny. He was talking to a fan about the ref, and the ref didn't like it, so he threw him out, right?
Yeah, the ref, the pool reporter said that Ja was questioning the integrity of the officiating or something to that extent, right, to a fan, which basically was unacceptable. I've never seen anybody ejected for it, but
it happens in between free throws, right? So at the second free throw, we substitute Isaiah Joe out of the game, okay? And the second Isaiah Joe steps off the court, the technical is given, right? And on the court, we have Lou Dort, we have Jalen Williams, Jay Will, we have Kenny Hustle, we have Aaron Wiggins, and Omorari on the floor, okay? So, of course Dort's going to take that free throw, but it was so frustrating because if Isaiah Joe just stayed in the game for that extra free throw, we would have been talking about Isaiah Joe capitalizing on the 2 technical fouls that were given in that moment. And we weren't able to capitalize on it. It didn't matter in the long term, but You know, what we saw from Dort, though, was step up. His 8 for 14 of getting from the field goal range, like, I want to say 4 of his missed shots were at the bucket, like right at the fucking bucket. Like, he's getting to the hole so well, and he's getting to there. He's just, like, it's that close to finishing. You know, like,
right, it's the power, but then he needs the finesse. And he gets enough of the finesse where you know it's coming. I know some people don't think it is, but, I mean, like, his ability to get a rebound and then lay it back in softly, like, that's an enormous amount of finesse. And he's going to refine that part, like, but, it's coming. And we see, like, glimpses, and you see why it's working.
Yeah, man, and it's just fun to me. I was watching it last night, and I'm watching it, and I'm thinking about, like, what we're going to say on this podcast, recognizing that this is, I recognize third quarter that if we're going to lose this game, they were going to have to go on a run, and it just was not happening.
That was fear. That was fear of pain. Like, I was, like, afraid that because that team has one of the best squads when they don't have Ja out there, as far as, like, a team that doesn't have a superstar, and they go, okay, how are we going to respond?
They just beat the Bucks by 41, guys.
Right. This team knows how to respond without Ja. They saw it a lot last year, right? And they went on a winning streak without him. So it was like, hey, they knew what to do. They were going to try to bully us. And we had our blue-collar lineup to match
them. Yeah, it was great.
It was great. But let's face it, like, for us as Thunder fans, last year that loss to Memphis, that hurts, bro. It still hurts. The 71-point loss or whatever it was, like, NBA record. This, to me, felt like a revenge game for that, because we're sitting there without the key guys once again, and that's how it happened last time. And we laid a punch like we haven't seen this year.
Yeah,
we haven't seen that this year at all from this team. Like, and where did it start, dude? It was defensively in the first half. Holy shit, bro. I mean, we stuck to what made us successful.
We held Memphis to 21 points and 22 points in the first and second quarter. I mean, this is the number one scoring team, I think, in the month of December, if not.
Right, and Ja was in until the last couple of minutes of the first half. So it wasn't like, I mean, it will all be about Ja's ejection, but, like, and it probably influenced the final result, potentially. I don't know. That close to the game, he's a difference maker. He's special. Like, we'll give him a lot of props, but in the end, they didn't have a response for the way that we were playing disciplined.
No, you're right. It was, but that's what I wrote you, and we're discussing stuff about the coaching and the staff and stuff like that. It was the discipline behind this win that was so impressive from Coach D, and recognizing, like, this is
totally.
I go back to what I said in the beginning of the podcast. I don't like it when I hear negative stuff about Coach D, because he's still young, and the stuff that he's doing in game time decisions is great. Yeah,
these are the best wins for a coach. The outmatch.
Like,
wins.
This is a proof that we got a great coach, guys. Like, he recognized that we were going to be down, and in the 24 or 20 minutes that Ja played, or whatever it was, we held them to like 40 points or less than 40 points. Like, it was impressive. Like, we were stifling. There was nothing there. And as you're watching Shea on the bench and the reaction to what's going on, you could tell like he's getting amped up. Like, this is something that's big, and this is the type of win that you can build off of. Like, you can say, look at Shea, these guys are out here hustling their asses off because they believe, right? And Shea's gonna be like, hell yeah, they do. And then next thing you know is he's gonna start playing harder. And that's what we want. We want to see this team chemistry like this. And seeing Isaiah Joe and Lou Dort out there playing like this, like, it was phenomenal. Like, I would love to see Isaiah Joe get more minutes. He played 26 minutes and 23 points, 1 steal, 3 rebounds, 4 for 5 on free throws, 5 for 8 and 8 3-pointers, and 7 for 12 on field goals. Like, he was just unbelievable. And I look at the team, and I could say that way about Wiggins, who had 14.
Tell me about Trey Mann, bro.
Trey Mann, 11.
Tell me about his game, bro.
Who?
Trey Mann.
Yeah, dude. Like, I felt like when he came out in the first quarter, second quarter, whatever it was the first quarter when he finally touched the floor. Like, you could tell that he didn't have confidence in his shot. You could tell it was off. You could tell that, like, even his step back was off. And that's what I was like, okay, we'll see what happens. Like, the first few shots he missed, you could tell that he was getting frustrated. And again, it goes back to the coaching. Coach D, I think during that time called timeout, you could see that the assistant coaches were talking to Trey Mann, and it was like, okay, he comes back out, hits a bunch of shots in a row, and it was like, Trey Mann looks great. He looks okay. I mean,
down the stretch,
like he's been able to figure it out.
Like, even if he didn't knock down the shot, he was able to put up a good shot when the shot clock was going low. And when you are in an end-of-game situation, you want to work the shot clock. So it just felt like he had a steady hand on the game, even though his stat line
defense was superb.
Right, it was. And
he had a couple
won the
mistakes,
help side defense,
but
bro.
He's still young.
But, I mean, we were getting steals on cross-court passes that were really critical because, like, this game was like, we got that lead. Let's see if we can hang on to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're right, man. You're right.
And we would go on these scoring droughts. Or we'd hit a free throw. I mean, we were missing free throws, man. Down like that third quarter was like torture. That fourth quarter, I think we got it turned around again. I can't remember exactly how well we were shooting on the final part of it, but in the end, they were making up ground.
Sure.
And they were hitting shots, and we weren't hitting shots, but we were still able to get enough stops and then create enough buckets that weren't half court. Like they were maybe not full blown transition, but they were cross matched, right? So they didn't have the right matchups they wanted. We get an opportunity, but a lot of times, bro, it was just the end of the shot clock play.
Well, that's it. That's what there's this one fan in the Oklahoma City Thunder crowd that always counts down the shot clock, like when it gets down to like 7 or whatever. Like, I fucking love that shit. And the reason is because sometimes I'm not looking at the shot clock, but hearing it, I know people are like, oh, it's so fucking annoying, but it's good because I can sit there and be like 7, 6. Okay, now I'm looking at the shot clock. It happened every possession. We were winding down the clock, unlike we've done in other games where it's like, okay, there's 3 minutes left, or 3 minutes and 40 seconds left. I think we had a 10 or 12 point lead at the time, right? And they were getting shots off in the first 10, 12 seconds of the shot clock, and we were getting the ball, and we were just winding that 24-second shot clock down to 20 seconds before that shot went off, and it happened every single time. You're talking about 6 possessions for us, and there's a minute gone. And it's like shit, like.
That's not what you see from your teams.
I'm sorry, three possessions, a minute gone, 6 possessions, 2 minutes gone. And that's exactly what went down. And it was just like, we had the ball 6 possessions and we took 2 minutes off the 3-minute clock. And it made it impossible for Memphis to do anything else.
Yeah. And they were coming at us. They were trying to close that one. I mean, it was closer than it looked on paper. Like, there were, I think, 3 or 4 times where the ball was passed, I think in the last couple of minutes, where if they had intercepted it and got a bucket, the whole game would feel like it was at risk. But we were able to make the right passes to the right people who were able to make just enough free throws to just keep this game out of reach for Memphis. And they're pissed, right? Yeah. And that's good. Like, I look at, like, I can't explain how much respect I have for a player like what the average player the Grizzlies have been able to put together.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
Like,
Bane,
if you look at
all those guys,
Bane or even
Tyrese
that guy,
Jones.
that little Jones, the stocky guy, Rowdy.
Yep. Oh, it's great, bro.
Thank you, man. I appreciate the coffee, man. You get a star.
Who's that?
That's Avonlea.
Avonlea.
Anyway, so what I've noticed with them is they draft well. Brandon Clark, right? They understand how to get hustle out of their players, right? And when that's the matchup they went for, when Taylor Jenkins went all in on hustle, right? We came back and we had an all-out hustle team.
Yep.
And I'm like, dude, we're not that different than we were a couple of years ago.
Yep.
Right? But we are. Right? It's
so
incredible. It's like the depth of our hustle guys. Amarui, Kenny Hustle, and demanding.
Let's talk about it.
What?
Amarui, Kenny Hustle, Jay Will, right? Aaron Wiggins, and Dort. That's
all
what
hustle team, baby.
The hustle team, and it was matched up so brilliant to Memphis, and it was just, I was like, what? Like, this is beautiful,
dude. It got me so pumped up. I wanted to, like, I don't know, you go punch something, like literally like a punching bag, not a wall. Like, I just was like that's what we needed, bro. We needed this team to stand up and be like, we are gonna win on all the little things. Like when J-Dub, even though he didn't have that great game that we were hoping for, right? When he dove on the ground for that loose ball.
Yep.
And I don't remember the Memphis guy, but like he was to the ball first, and he went to pick it up with two hands, right? J-Will dives on the ground, creates a deflection, gets the ball forward. It was all hustle, and I was just like we're beating them at their own game. This is what they're known. This is why they're one of the best teams. Yeah, Ja gets all the attention, right? It's kind of like everybody gives the attention to the wrong things. Like, why is Ja so special? Is it his athleticism? I mean, that's why everybody like loves to watch him play, but really, man, his mid-range game and just like being a killer, like any team that doesn't respect, like that tries to stop him going to the basket, like if you got your hands down and he's in the mid-range, he's going to kill you. And he's learning that 3-point range, but like, yeah, the athleticism is the sexy part of the game, right? But the non-sexy part is what makes the Grizzlies great. That's what makes them a team that everybody needs to like go like, yeah, dude, that's a legitimate contender in the West. And you're like, is it too early to call them that? Well, if you can win the hustle game, then you'll beat the teams that are supposed to win. So I don't think so. Sure. They got the star power. Can they put it all together? My thing is, I would prefer, if I was betting, to pick them over the Mavericks, because the Mavericks are having a weakness on some of these points. And maybe Jason Kidd can be one of those coaches like Doc Rivers that gets the average player to play up to a higher level. But at this point, the roster has issues where you look at the depth of what Memphis has, and then I'm like, did we just beat them in a depth game? Yeah, man. When they went down to their bench, dude, they weren't as deep as us.
No. But they use their bench very similar to how we use our bench. It's deep, you know, and it's fluent, and it's substitution like that. And I think that's what ultimately we're trying to get to. And you look at somebody who's becoming very, very quickly becoming one of my favorite players on this team, and that's Omorari. Oh my God. This guy is truly spectacular. He's so raw still. Like out there, the 16 minutes that he played last night, you see him playing and you're like, ooh, missed that play. Ooh, he missed that, but barely. And it's like, this guy is so raw that if he can put stuff together, having a wide body like that, it's truly spectacular. And he reminds me of Dort, his first year playing with the Thunder, where it was like everything was so close to being right. It was so right. And, you know, Omorari earned that starting position. Not because, you know, coach is feeling bad for him and saying, hey, I feel bad for you, I'm going to give you the starting position. No, because he fucking earned it. You know, Omorari is for real, and he's somebody that I get excited about, and that I hope he has a future with this team, because you always need a body like that that makes it difficult. And Adams had a difficult time when he was matched up against Omorari. You know, and Adams is huge, and he's incredibly strong, maybe the strongest guy in the NBA. And you could tell that Omorari was giving him issues.
That low leverage,
especially when they had Omorari and Poku going back and forth with him. And we played a zone, a very heavy zone. But, man, it was still that Omorari, banging against Adams that I love to see. I mean, man-on-man love. What else do you want?
Dude, how about the physicality that Poku's been able to put out? I mean, you're talking about man-on-man love. Like...
Dude, it's impressive. He's like 200 pounds, and he's acting like he's like 260 out there, man. He gets bumped and he gets moved back, but he doesn't get thrown out.
Let's go back to what we were saying a second ago about the other hustle guys, right? If you demand it from everybody, right? If you have it permeate the roster, then you're going to start getting it from your first round picks. And when you start seeing it from like Poku, he went down like 10 times in the game, bro. And finally he went out to get stitches, I think, and I never saw him again.
Stitches on his eye.
I mean,
but like he got stitches on his eye, gets back up and sprints down the court, or gets knocked in his eye, gets a cut on his eye. There's blood. He gets back up, sprints down the court,
trying to stop the game, but not letting it. Not like he was trying to draw the officials' attention. Right? Don't be a disadvantage. Yeah, that's hard, dude.
That's I love it, bro. That there's toughness. Heart, there's soul, there's toughness. That's what you need from a big guy like that. It doesn't matter if he's 200 and. But hey, look at Marcus Camby.
What do you expect from Nick Collison? You know what I mean?
I know.
That's what you'd expect. And look, the Grizzlies, right? They hung up the grit and grind, Tony Allen, They hung his number from the rafters. We hung Nick Collison's number from the rafters, right? Like, there's something that an organization says represents our values, right?
It's all about Collison, bro.
Like, that's what I saw. I saw this guy taking a hit and recognizing that he wasn't going to let that be a disadvantage for his team, because the refs weren't standing there to see he had blood. He had to go out on to defend and then show he had blood before they were going to give him any respect.
No, we were on offense because he touched the ball and then he pointed to it because he's standing next to the ref. But the point
You're right,
was
bro.
he could have.
But he sprinted. That's it.
That's it. He hustled down the court. And that's what we're looking at. That's what we're seeing. And you saw Isaiah Joe. He took a what I considered a charge from Adams. But I was so proud of Coach D for not challenging so many of these calls, because in the past I've seen him challenge them, and then we don't have a challenge in the fourth quarter.
There's some calls that you're not going to win, right?
Yeah,
the block charge is all about, like, you could look at it and everybody say,
perspective, baby.
Absolutely. Like, his shoulder was lowered, and then they're like, no, his feet were moving. But it's like his shoulder was lowered, but it's a judgment call, and because it's a judgment call, they're very rare to overturn it. Like, you gotta save your challenges for, like, end of game situations or an absolute like, I don't know, man. Like, goaltending.
We had nuts last night.
Oh my god.
We had the biggest fucking nuts in the NBA last night. Like, we were out there. Everybody said 0 chance at the Thunder win without Shea and Giddey. 0. There's no chance. Like, bro, I was going to drink wine and get really fucking fucked up last night. Just drinking and watching the game and enjoying it. But I was like, Shea's not going to be in the game. I don't want this to turn into a 40-point loss and me getting drunk for no fucking reason and getting angry at the TV. So I was like, I'll just watch it semi-sober and sitting there enjoying the things I enjoy. And next thing you know is I'm like, this is a fucking game. And I'm like, fuck, I should have opened that bottle of wine. And it's not that I didn't think the Thunder weren't going to win. Not that I thought that the Thunder were going to lose by a crazy amount. But it was, you know what? This is about experience right now. I looked at the starting lineup. I was like, Isaiah Joe getting minutes, Omorari's hustle minutes. This is what he's getting rewarded for. And I was like, you know what? I'll just sit back and enjoy. And at halftime, I started writing Blake Thompson, one of my buddies, and it's like, yo, man, this is it. This is going to be it. And then, of course, we went from talking about basketball to talking about fishing, and then we kept on talking about fishing and fishing and fishing. And, dude, it's just
as
like...
it goes sometimes, bro.
But that's just, like, to me, it's like, this is exactly what this team is. Like, I look at all the people. I look at Chencho. I look at... just the incredibly meaningful people, Wash and other guys that we've met, Chris, all the guys on YouTube that consistently write us and letting us know how good of a job. Like, you guys, like, seriously, there's only way to express what you guys are to us is I don't know. You guys are the clit to our existence. I mean, that is what you guys are. Like, there's no way else to express how grateful we are to you guys and being able to talk about what we have passion about, ended up talking about the games, talking about, what's happening with the draft and different things like that. And we had a YouTube subscriber ask us to talk about what's coming up and kind of like what we thought was going to happen with the draft. And this is what I got to say about this is that the draft, right? It's pretty simple here.
Right.
What's that?
Drew asked this question. I think somebody else did too, but Drew did.
Yeah. And I look at the draft and I look at it like this, is that we're in a great spot.
These guys. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Double digits, man. That's where we're looking at drafting in the double digits. I think we're looking at between maybe even as low as 8, but between 8 and 13. All right. That's where I kind of see us going. And it's all about injury. It's all about who sits out. It's all about these other things. And if we could be in that 8 to 13 spot, that's difference between five positions. So
we've made an argument for a while now, and I know a lot of people are new, right? But like, bro, like, you have to master that mid-lottery range, right? You can't just hit the top 5. You got to be able to hit 6 through 13, right? Then on top of that, you got to have the assets to be able to keep getting one of those picks, because you can either get one of those picks yourself or you can trade up to something like the 12th pick if you utilize multiple assets like we saw happen last year. So basically, ideally, right, if you can find the J. Will or the Ousmane Dieng or have the assets to get both of them who somehow would, I mean, do you think they would have picked anybody different if they had 8 or 9? Like, I don't think so.
I look at there's 2 other guys that I looked at and I circled. And I want to say this.
Me too.
Jordan Ivey.
Right.
No, I'm sorry, not Jordan Ivey. Ben Methuen.
Right. He went
the
like
other
5.
guy that I really, really liked was Shaden Sharp. Those were the 2
like
guys that
7,
you and
I
I were like, if we had an opportunity to get those 2 guys, we get them.
Right.
You know, but do I think that the Thunder picked those guys over them? I don't know, because I look at Ousmane Dieng and I look at J-Dub and I say the future is bright with these 2, especially if you use Ousmane Dieng as a guard.
More size, and probably more potential upside, although that's all to be debated. And right now, I put Mathurin up there for me at number 3, and I would have taken him easily with number 3. But
I think you even said that you would take Methuen.
I don't know, Mathurin.
Whatever, yeah. You would take him over Jabari Smith.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, I don't know if I would do that.
It wasn't even close.
I look back and I was like, you know what? I would pick Methuen. I think I said I'd be comfortable picking him at number 5 because I looked at Jordan Ivey as somebody I would pick over Jabari Smith, because over Jabari, but not Mathurin, dude. I wouldn't put him. We looked at the first pick as being Jabari, period, and then we looked at the second pick being, we knew it was going to be Chet. I mean, we just had a feeling.
You thought it was Jabari, dude. I said Paulo was the guy that should go number 1, although Chet should go really.
Yeah, you did say that, because I was all about Jabari going number 1, and then when Paulo went number 1, I was kind of shocked. And then
I pushed Jabari down to 4 on my list.
But I looked at it like, if I was Houston, I was like, I would have gone with Ivy. I just didn't know why Houston didn't go with Ivy, because like he fit exactly how Houston wants to play. And it was just shocking to me that they just went with the highest projected player.
Well,
because
I think they looked at it, bro, like, because my understanding is he didn't necessarily work out with them and everything. I think they looked at it like there were 3 forwards and they needed a forward, and they were just going to get one of the, like, whoever was left over out of the 3.
But I just look at what they've Houston done, and I don't want to sit here and talk too much about what Houston's done, but they have a bunch of players, right, with no heart and no soul. Yeah, they can put numbers up, they have stuff like that, but the heart and soul isn't there. And you look at the Thunder and you say, okay, this is how to put a team together. This is how you change an organization. I love what Coach Siles has done there with what he has, because he's a real good player developmental coach. But man, it's just hard, because I'm looking at the NBA and I'm looking at all these different organizations that are young teams and that are, throwing elbows for these top picks. And you know what's going to happen with this number 1 pick, man? It happens every single time there's a player that's truly spectacular, or most times truly spectacular, is a team like Orlando that's going to be with the 10th pick or with the 9th pick, like what happened with Shaq, Like a team in that area is going to end up jumping up and getting Victor. And that's what's so surprising, that all these teams are tanking right now. And it's like, this is the year that some crazy team like San Antonio or this team or that team is going to jump up and get a player like this, because it's not going to be, cut and dry 1, 2, 3. These are the top 3 teams. And, we saw it with Orlando this last year. We saw it with Houston the year before, Detroit the year before. It's never about one of the 3 worst teams. I mean, once in a while it is, but now with everything it is, there's teams that are at the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 that actually have a legit chance. And that's why when Mark and I are looking at this and we're saying, where does this Thunder position lay? It's at that sweet spot in this draft, and that's that 8 to 13 spot.
You got a chance.
And if we can get in that spot, like, we could move up into the top 3 very easily, because this is the draft that something crazy like that's going to happen.
Right, and here's what I would say, right? A lot of times where there's a consensus top 3 or top 2, like the upcoming draft, right? It seems like there's 2 people. Like, Presti's not locked into those guys. Like, I mean, for some reason, it works out differently with Kevin Durant, right? But for some reason, there was a consensus number one. And when that happens, I still think Presti wouldn't have taken, if he had the number one pick, he would have taken Durant over Greg Oden. Like, he's a visionary, right? And then people thought he picked Russ too early. People thought Harden was picked too early. People thought, like, you go down the list, and I'm like, dude, maybe we don't get like that top 5, top 7 pick. Maybe we get somebody that leads everybody to go back and be like, huh, I missed that guy. I didn't look at him. I didn't watch his video in advance. But so what? We get a 6'10" player from France who spent a year in New Zealand playing in the NBL. Like, wow, that's pretty cool experience. And we're watching him come along a long way. And then we get a guy like Jay Will that goes through a different experience. Yeah, everybody, like, Chet's sexy. We all love Chet. We love us some Chet. We've been loving Chet for a long time.
Bro. Maybe just scored 2 goals in a minute and a half to tie the game in the 81st minute. Holy shit, bro.
All right, dude.
France, it's 2-2. I'm sorry. My bad, man. I could not believe that. I was like, Argentina's about to take it. It's the 80th minute, and boom, boom. It's like, what the fuck just happened? Okay. All right.
Dude, I do not give a fuck. I do not give a fuck about what the fuck you're talking about. I do not care at all. And I apologize to everybody that does care more than me, but no, dude. I don't even know who's
we got a
playing
lot of people that are Argentina fans, and we have a lot of people that listen to us from France. So
I'm glad you're locked into that. I'm locked in. Like I was saying about Chet, bro. I don't even know what the fuck I was saying. Okay. I don't give a fuck, dude. Like,
but go back to Chet. What you were saying that sprung it, that I caught me. Maybe it'll catch you back. But like I look at this team as adding Chet right there, right, man? Adding Chet to this lineup is going to add something that everybody's going to look at and be like, holy shit. And recognizing that you have a player that's coming in the draft that everybody's so high on.
Here's the thing, bro. You can't guarantee you're going to get top 1, top 2, especially as soon as you get good. Like you're counting on other people's picks, right?
Yeah.
There's no packing it in those situations. So,
yeah.
like,
Victor's
you got to win that mid range, bro. You got to be experts in that. And we've seen in the past, like I got no problem with Steven Adams as a pick. You know what I mean? He's still a valuable player, as we saw. But in the end, like when you're picking in that mid lottery range, like you can't miss out on Giannis.
Yeah, no.
Right? Like and that's the value.
I'm sorry. You're right.
That's the value of having a lot of picks in this, is that you start to realize that, like, okay, like you can miss some, right? The desire to not miss any is what leads you to miss the best ones. And so you got to be willing to take your chance. And like I would say neither J-Dub or Jang are misses in any sense of the imagination, but they're on their own trajectory. And that's what you have to recognize in that mid-range. So to answer these guys' questions, right? Like we're anticipating anywhere from 7 to 12. That would be the range that I would just say, like, is probably the case. Now, that's kind of where we were last year. Of course, we were more at 12, but we moved up into 11 and 12. Like, so it kind of like, if we were committed to moving up, we probably could have taken 11 and 12 and moved up to 8 or something like that. Like, I just feel like there's things that you can do if you find one guy, and we have enough, assets. So my guess is we find a guy that's like a future all-star, like legit future all-star, and totally overlooked by everybody in every sense of the way, like whether it be overseas or even like Santa Clara as a school just not being respected. And then it's going to take 3 years before everybody realizes how good they are. It's going to take a year and a half of, really playing G League minutes every time that they fall out of the rotation, which should happen fairly often with a player who's purely picked on upside. You know what I mean? And that's what you got to be doing. You got to be thinking, if we're going to win in 3 years, we got to be picking players that are peaking in 3 to 5 years. Not really peaking, but like you're maybe not even seeing returns on that investment. That's really the best way to like look at it. You're trying to grow the biggest long range plans. So it's almost like we're not going to probably see another J-Dub for a while, where it's like this player comes in as a rookie and just immediately makes an impact. That was like a luxury sort of having too many picks.
You're right.
I would say we're gonna see players more like along the Jang trajectory.
Yeah, and this has been, if you look at the past years for draft picks, this is the year to have what we've had. The last 3 years is to have what we've had. You know, like we can't have asked for better. And I look at this Thunder team and I say we have the draft capital to move up as far as we want in any draft. And I look at these players and I say, you know, I was reading this guy's like post about how easily Chet could become the next Odom, you know, and I couldn't help but be like, fuck off, first of all. And second of all, is that you look at players that are coming in, and you remember when everybody was so high on Hashim Thabit, you know, like everybody's like, this is going to be the next amazing player, and he gets to the NBA and couldn't handle the contact, couldn't handle anything. And I looked at Victor and I see what he's doing, and I see these moves that he's making, and I know how the NBA's defense is going to cause issues for that all around. And I'm sitting there saying, is he going to turn into the Hashim Thabit? And is everybody tanking to get a piece of Hashim Thabit? And if that's the case, all these other guys that are going to slip through the hole.
Don't do that, bro.
So I get it. I love Victor. I think he's special.
You just lost everybody who's ever seen him play, bro.
But I think he's special. I think he's truly spectacular. And I get excited about a player like that. But the reality is, when a push comes to shove, is that we don't know how his game's going to translate. And we already have a small sample size of how Chet's game is translating. And that's why I have to say is that anybody that sits there and says, I'd rather have Victor than Chet, has not been able to truly watch what Chet was able to do in the Summer League and what he was able to do against LeBron and those guys. Like, everybody talked such a positive way about Chet. It's spectacular.
All right. But Victor is not Hashim Thabit, period. Okay? Now, he might have trouble staying healthy, which would put him on a different trajectory, but, like, it'd be like if Hashim Thabit could shoot from 40 feet. Because I feel like he's shooting from 40 feet in some of these games. And maybe it's because he's playing against midgets. I don't mean to offend anybody. I hope that anybody listening does not get offended by that. I apologize if you do. But, like, that happens sometimes when we're watching overseas basketball. Like, I don't know who I'm watching them play against. But here's the thing. He can shoot over the top of anybody. But so can Chet. And, look, it's really not useful at this stage to really be overly comparing the two, other than to say, you know, they're really tall people who can shoot threes. Like, outside of that,
exactly.
Like, I don't really know, you know, what I would say, like, Chet's defensive impact, like, the way that aligns with the way that we value hustle, desire, heart. For me, when I watch Chet play defense, I'm looking at the guy who cares the most.
It's beautiful, man.
Right? And so I'm like how that to me is such a rare combination, to have the most talented person on the court also work the hardest and, like, lift the level of everybody else. Like, just like, you know, maybe that's not what Gonzaga fans saw. I didn't watch him play in college that much, but what I witnessed when he played on the Summer League was just someone who was out there and who took a high level of pride in competing every possession. So that's my limited view on him. But I'm like, if you have somebody who, like, and then he likes to knock down the trail three like Mike Muscala, but he defends like he's Ben Wallace, sign me the fuck up, baby.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think that this is something that when we're looking down in the future of this team, we're looking down in the future, how it was built, how Sam Presti has been able to put everything together, and how he's been able to skip the pitfalls. Because in the next couple of years, we're going to see all these guys that were in the top 5 draft picks that are going to fall out of the top 5, because it happens with every draft. You know, there's always a couple players in the top 5 that fall out, and everybody's like, how do they go so high in a draft that was so deep? You know, how did that player go ahead of Dwayne Wade, or how did that player go ahead of, you know, whoever, you know, like, and
You just got to be an ace at that. If you can,
That's it.
And like you were mentioning a little while ago, we hired somebody, I think from the 76ers, who's really an ace in the front office of being able to assess talent, especially is well known at the late first round, being well at that, good at that. But also, you figure like it's going to permeate every element of our team. Oh, when did we hire him? Do you remember?
We hired him at the beginning of the off season, so
Okay.
it was like right around the time that we hired Chip, because I remember we hired them right at the same time, I think. And
Right.
I think he was responsible for hiring, wasn't he in Milwaukee for Giannis?
I think I can't remember, dude. We're just
I
speculating.
can't remember.
I think we got him from the 76ers, bro. I think that's who. But I think he was around earlier in the organization at the Bucks. I think that would be my way of bridging those two things.
Yeah, I forget. We'll have to go back and look at his time in the military. Look at his time in the NBA.
Dude, it was a great game. It was coming off of a tough game for us, bro. Like that last game, we
The
competed.
last two games, 2-point games.
Look, the last 5 games, right? Like you go back a bit. It's been tough. I mean, I was anticipating going on a run, and look, I would say, look, this is what happens when you lose games. You like throw out the one quarter that we lost by a lot, and we win the game. So that's not really a legit way to go. But a lot of these games, if you were to go through and throw out that quarter,
Yeah.
like we'd be just fine. And the problem is, so we're competing, for a legit 36 minutes, right? But getting that 48-minute competition has been elusive. And then here we are, we put it up with a bunch of guys that, the announcers were having trouble saying their names for the other team. And that's what we want. We want that. We want to see Jay Will prove to everybody that the work he's putting in the G League is paying off, man. That's paying off in a big way.
Yeah.
Bro, when he shot the
same
ball,
way-
I was like, he shot it with confidence. I didn't see that in any point.
I mean, he was 3 for 4 in field goals and
Right.
1 for 2 in 3-pointers. And the second 3-pointer that he had, it was what I would consider a great shot. So,
It was.
like, this is again, like
You
this
have
is
to-
exactly what we want to see from these guys coming up from the G League.
Right.
15 minutes of hard work.
And taking the shots that you're supposed to take in the offense and knocking down the one that you did, and then get back there and get back in the lab. You're starting to see it pay off. Look, his shot is a little different, but when he goes at his pace, it looks good. And then when they don't respect him, they give him the Lou Dort treatment. He can go at his pace. And here we are.
Yep.
Now we're looking at him and we're like, haha, like a little bit of positive momentum, right? And bro, who knows? We're going to get back strong. Our lineups will be good. Everything will be solid again. And we'll be looking at this team and we'll be like, Jay Will is doing his work where nobody can see it, just like Jang was. And nobody can see it, but they come back improved. And I just want to say, like the reason we give Dort so much leeway, even when he goes 1 for 7 in the previous game, is because you need him to continue to evolve. And we're seeing that evolvement. And the reason we don't say it's either Trey Mann or Isaiah Joe, or we pit players against each other in either or situations, is because we've seen this team value depth. So we're for some reason, we don't feel like that we can only have 10 useful players. We don't even feel like the number's 14. Like we're sitting here like 16.
But think about it. How many times in a season is a team completely healthy and have all 16 players or 15 players, whatever it is, with the two-way player contracts playing?
Lindy
There's
Waters,
never.
bro. We haven't even mentioned him. Like,
Yeah. There's just
massive,
never
dude.
a time that you're bringing up everybody, that you have everybody, because there's always injuries. Shea, we look at our injuries.
And sometimes
Faze,
they happen in
Shea,
such
Giddy.
all at once. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where you're like
And
6
it does.
players aren't available.
And guess what? That's why we had the depth. That's why we could play 12 players and each player played, what was it, 11 plus minutes each. Like this is what needs to happen in situations like this. When you're unhealthy and everybody's getting tired and everybody's getting worn out, nobody played above 31 minutes or 32 minutes. Kenny Hustle played the most, but he's been resting. He's been injured. But we played 32 minutes the other night. Like, this is what we need, guys. We need it to be like this. It's not one of those situations where in 3-4 years, if we lose our bench, our starters are going to get injured. If we're expecting these guys to play 40 minutes a game to get wins, listen, they could do that for 1 or 2 seasons, but then after that, you always run into a Russ situation or a KD situation where they get injured and they're out for a season or half a season, and that's not what we want. We want to give these guys the best opportunity to play longevity, and that is getting them rest when we have back-to-back games sometimes, letting guys get an extra game or two when they've injured an ankle or hurt a wrist or whatever the injury is, letting them get an extra game or two. It's good. It's better that way. And I look at what we're doing as a squad, and this was just huge, man. Like, no one gave us a fucking chance. If there was a gambling and whatever, if I was a gambler and I was out there saying, hey, I'm going to put $1,000 on this game. I mean, I would never put $1,000 on this game, first of all. And I don't mean that in any disrespect against the Thunder, but I would have never put $1,000 on this game. And that's the point, is that I look at this and sometimes I wonder, I'm like, at what point are we all going to be sitting here and saying, we can match up against anybody? It doesn't matter the matchup. You want to go hustle? We'll go hustle. You want to go tall and lanky and try to shoot over us? We'll go tall and lanky. You guys want to go fast and short? We can go fast and short. You want to go shooters? Go shooter by shooter? We'll go shooter by shooter. We don't give a fuck. You pick the matchup, we go. And I think that's what's so crazy is watching Coach D. And again, this is a Coach D win. This is our coaching staff's win because there's no other way of explaining it. Like, yes, we shot the lights out. But guess what? We shot the lights out because we were put in a position we could. And Coach D coached these guys to take the shots and pass the ball with inside the offense. And it's simple. It's simple. They ran the offense. The guys scored that, we're open every single time. And you look at it, it's like 3 for 4, 5 for 8, 2 for 5, 2 for 5, 2 for 6, 2 for 2, 1 for 2. These guys were nailing the shots that were open. And it was just great to see. It's not every day that everybody hits their shots. Well, not every shot, but everybody hits the shots that they're open like that. It's like, damn, this is fun basketball.
Fun basketball and fun to share it with you guys. We really appreciate you guys listening. Shout out to Unk615. We like to let the shit fly with you, that's for sure. And Corey, we love you too, man. Tobias, man, I could keep going, dude. Let me name a couple of other people that Davey, Alfonso. That guy's not getting any love, but Scummy 420 is. We 420. Everybody 420s. That's what we do, man. Bro, I just have to say this, dude. Last episode, you opened it up with a quote by Sam Smith, and I love Sam Smith's work. I love all of his albums and all of his songs. I had not heard that song. I know everybody hears it. My understanding is it's like everywhere, my kids are telling me, but I had not heard that song. So when I played it earlier in the morning and I watched the music video you sent me, I was like, this is one of the weirdest things I've ever seen, bro. And then you let out the podcast. And, bro, let's put it like this. You got a little bit blasted. People did not like the idea of being unholy. And, look, we get it. Like, we grew up in Oklahoma. Like, we went to church Sunday, Wednesday, Sunday night. Like, we did the work. You know what I mean? We were in choir. We did all that stuff. It's not like...
We're all in the extracurricular.
Right.
Activities.
So it's not that we don't know a heck of a lot about the Bible. It's like we have Bible names, like Dave and Mark. Like our parents went to Bible
after Bible
colleges. Our grandfather is a pastor. Our other grandfather was a missionary.
To South America for like 20 years. So like, we get it.
Yeah, we fuck with the Bible and shit. Yeah, that's cool, man. Last time I played with the Bible, dude, I rolled a joint. With one of those opening pages, bro. Wow. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm just like, I fuck with the Bible, dude.
Heresy. I love it.
Hey, it had no text on it, bro.
Man.
It's that opening page that says Holy Bible, bro. Like, you can't.
Well, I don't want
to smoke some ink.
I think it's one of those things for me where I look at, and yes, the person that in particular I want to talk about got really fired up and said these guys don't talk or don't represent anything Oklahomans do, or
yes, we
us
only
fans
represent
do in Oklahoma. listen, this is what I gotta say, is that there's two type of fans in this aspect of, you've got the fans that are good Christian people that go to the games and they don't drink, they don't do anything, they just go to the games and they cheer and they praise the Lord and stuff like that. And then you got the other guys that go to the games, they get drunk, they hang out with their buddies, they're being loud, they're being obnoxious. Like, we know that. We know that the people that are going to be good Christian people that are going to listen to our podcast are going to be like, oh my God, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
This is horrible shit. Like, I got to go clean my ears out after this. Like,
see,
listen,
here's the problem, dude.
We know that. So my point is that, like, if you're looking at this and you're saying, we want our Christian friends to listen to it, we're not for you guys. We are for the other guys that are out there making crazy stuff, that are smoking joints while watching games, that are drinking, that are doing all this other stuff, because that's who we are. We want you guys to enjoy it with us.
So what? We don't represent 100% of the people, but at least we know there are a few people who are like us, and that's all that really matters, because in the end, like, when you get thrown out of church, you get ostracized early on. It feels like you're isolated and stuff. But in the end,
if you're beating off while watching the game, then you're
remember what our pastor used to call it, bro? Self-sodomizing. Like, anyway, but listen, like,
you're gay if you beat off.
Listen, dude, we love everybody. We love everybody, dude, and it's okay. Like, not everybody, has come to the same conclusions about where they are in the world, but we share one passion. We share the Thunder. We try to stay focused on that as much as possible, but we
don't
are
represent
unholy.
the Thunder.
We don't.
Just put that out there.
Yeah, we represent ourselves.
If people are saying the Thunder are good, holy people, then we don't represent the Thunder. But we represent the Thunder for what we love. This is about us.
So we grew up in Oklahoma, but we're also, like, originally from Pennsylvania, like before 10 years old range, right? So even though we, like, spent 20 years in Oklahoma, we sort of have this Philadelphia fan edge, right? And I think it makes a lot of Oklahoma fans uncomfortable, and they prefer that their media was highly critical of the team, and then everybody could sit around and discuss the media stuff. And we're like, yo, man, like, first of all, we don't want to take a Philly mentality of boo the players. Like, that's something that even Philly people know is fucked up, but they kind of can't control. It's just like, it's gotten out of control, right? It's an environmental issue, right? The only way you can fix it is to take the team out of Philly, right? And that's not a solution. So in the end, everybody just tolerates it. But, like, we don't want to see that happen, but we don't want to see the media create the environment we've seen in New York either. So we just say, like, hey, we're going to call bullshit. And some people are going to say...
Last night, I watched the game. I'm watching the game, Poku took a 3-point shot, missed 3 of them. But I think it was the second or third missed one that he did. And all I hear in the stands is like, oh my God, what the hell? Like, and I'm like, I hate that. Like, to me, that's not what this is about.
And
it's the worst. Those are the worst fucking fans ever.
Social media. It's an outcropping of the comment section on Daily Thunder. It's an outcropping of these environments where people kind of feel like enraged and emboldened to go out and express themselves. And, like, I get it. I heard Nick and Paris talking on the podcast about how the players, like, learn how to only focus on what the coach is saying and stuff. And that's great. But, like, in the end, if you have to exercise that muscle in your home environment, it's really not healthy. No. And people eventually, if it's so loud, it creates so much noise that you end up seeing a player kind of get torn apart from the fan base. And it happens. It happens in every sport. It happens in every city. So you just look at it and you're like, we can help create a safer cocoon by demanding that people don't act that way. Like, hey, they're going to yell at our players. We're going to yell at them. They want to start a fight. We'll start a fight. It doesn't fucking matter. Like, they're going to say something negative. We're going to say something back to them. They're going to call foul. We're going to call foul. That's it.
And we want you guys to be there with us because we fucking love you guys. Like I said earlier, you guys are our clit to our existence.
Yep.
You guys are the clit to our existence. And that's on every stretch because there's no way that we would be doing this at this point in the game unless we had hundreds of people on a daily basis listening to our podcast. And it's been pretty fun to be able to watch everything. And
dude,
I gotta say is that
if it was just
one of the disses,
but
one of the disses that I got the other day was we're losing listeners like right and left. And I listen, I don't give a shit We have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people listen to us on a daily basis. And to me, I don't care how many people we lose, because the ones of you guys that are loyal enough to this team and loyal enough to us are going to continue on this road, and they aren't going to give a shit. So thank you so much for believing in us like we believe in you fuckers.
We love one thing, and we want to share that with as many people. And if anything else we say like makes you get off the ride, we apologize. Thanks for taking it this far with us. If you're down to fuck with us, that's cool, man. Like, we try to play it straight, bro. You got anything else to say? I know you want to get back to the soccer match, dude. I'm trying to draw this out as long as I can.
Dude, I'm not. Dude,
what happened, dude? Is it over? It's like, you said it's like the 82nd minute, dude. What happened with that?
But it doesn't matter. It's our time with our fans, and I'll watch the game whenever I get a chance. I'm not,
so you
not
paused
a big
it, bro?
deal. This is
you paused it.
This is our time right now. And
dude, when you started yelling about that, it like I was like, what the fuck happened? Like, was there like something? Because I don't know, dude. You seemed like you were like something bad happened, like an assassination or a bombing. Oh. It was like you were like, well, what the fuck, dude? It was the craziest moment. I was like,
because my mic, it's so close to my throat today, because I have you guys can hear I'm starting to lose my voice for some reason. So
yeah, dude, it scared the shit out of me. I thought like we were all fucked. Like,
don't yell at people,
dude. One time I was in Hawaii, bro, and they sent a notice to everybody's phone when I was there that like a nuclear, not nuclear, but a ballistic missile had been launched, and to take cover. Like, that's how much scared I thought something bad was happening. Like, we were all fucked, dude. So you have to figure out your voice inflection next time there's a soccer goal, bro. All right, guys, thanks for joining us. We will see you next time.
Hell yeah.